Welcome to the What's Your Truth podcast, the show that not only showcases the best of independent artists, but also explores what inspires them, what drives them, and what they consider their fundamental purpose as an artist to be. Today on the show, we have the multi-talented, multimedia, multi-skilled, multi-titled entertainment and social media queen, Elisabeth Donaldson. Born and raised in Northern Cali and relocated to Nashville, Tennessee, Elisabeth is an actress, model, photographer, videographer, and wardrobe stylist, among many other things. Aside from being a ridiculously talented and diverse actress, Elisabeth is one of the funniest, most entertaining social media personalities on the market today. And if you haven't followed her on Insta and Facebook yet, you need to find out. With over 20 years of experience in the creative arts, including an impressive acting resume encompassing a range of short films, TV series, and full-length features, Elisabeth knows what's up when it comes to taking the mundane and mediocre and lacing it with pizzazz, flair, and style. She's stunning, she's cunning, and she's an all-around badass bitch. Ladies and gentlemen, Elisabeth Donaldson. How'd I
Hi.
do?
That was a phenomenal intro. I'm gonna have you send that to me later. That's incredible. I was like, wow, these are all the things that I want people to know about me. But when it's about you, I'm always like, people are like, what's your bio? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just a gal.
Yeah, right. Like I do stuff.
I don't know if humble is the right word, but I weirdly don't like talking about myself, or I don't like to come to present myself like I'm a big deal. I do all this stuff.
Right.
And it's a mouthful when you're multi-hyphenate. People are like,
Seriously.
yeah, people are like, what do you do? And it's like, you want to have a seat? You know what I mean?
Not a second, grab a beer and strap in, man.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
Exactly. This is gonna take a second. Let me
That's
let me
right.
lay it out for you.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, let's roll right into it. So, my
Yeah.
first question for you, Ms. Donaldson, is how did you decide that you wanted to become an artist?
I think I just flew out of the womb that way. I It's interesting, especially you asking me that question today, because I've been doing like a deep clean of my office, and like, the clean where you go through every paper that you've ever had. And I happen to have all these papers in my desk that were my childhood artwork.
Yeah.
Um and literally everything, like from as early as I can remember, I was writing books, writing poems, making movies. I wrote this play when I was a little kid called It's All a Dream. I wrote and directed this play when I was in fourth grade. I mean, I don't ever remember a time in my life other than maybe when I was a tot, like literally when I was like fully deeply in diapers. Just because, like, when you're like a tiny little baby, you just can't, you're just like rah, rah. So, but other than that, from as early as I can remember, I've always been obsessed with creating art, and it just never left me. And I think I was really lucky that my parents were super supportive. So I just always was like, I have to create, no matter what I do, I have to create a life where this is what I'm doing. So yeah, I mean, I just, since the beginning of time.
No, that's awesome. That's so great that you had a family that supported it too. It sucks when you don't have that.
Yeah, yeah.
Or even if you have a family like where they support it, but they don't really get it. So they kind of think they're supporting it and they don't realize that you know what I mean? Like, so it's really
Totally.
great that you had that.
Yeah, I was very lucky. I mean, I had some also really good mentors who sort of taught me also how to protect my art, and to like I think when I was college age, there's been a couple times in my life where it's like, maybe you should go back to school, or maybe. And because I had really excellent mentorship, I was able, when those conversations did come up, I was able to be like, no, this is what I am, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing. There's no plan B. Like, this is what we're up to.
Awesome. Right
Yeah.
on. So what was the first experience you remember having with art?
Oh my gosh. I remember drawing. I had all these books when I was a kid, and I used to love drawing pictures out of them. My favorite book ever was Angelina Ballerina, but I think there was a book earlier. I don't remember. I remember being like 4 years old, 4 or 5, in my family's home in Eureka, and drawing these pictures out of a book just like furiously, at the kitchen table. Because I guess you're not even at school. It was before I was even in school. I guess I was in preschool, but I was just like furiously like, I'm going to draw this stuff, just bananas about it.
Right on. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And I did ballet too when I was really young. I forget about that when I was like 4. I think when I was 3 or 4, my parents got me into ballet. So I used to do recitals, and I mean I was performing from a super young age as well.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun.
Very cool. And who are the biggest influences on your work and why?
Whew, me.
Okay.
It's like Snoop Dogg, when Snoop Dogg's like, "I'd like to thank myself for being myself." Let me think about that. I mean, here's a unique perspective that I have. There's definitely, as like a filmmaker and a creative, there's definitely styles of art and shows and movies that inspire me. I mean, my favorite director of all time is Baz Luhrmann, hands
Nice.
down. Like,
Nice.
I want to be Boz when I grow up, which is why I'm glad my room is more. I recently redecorated; it's very fancy now. But I have a sort of viewpoint that as an artist, even though it's cool to be inspired and influenced, it's and I watch a lot of TV, but I watch all kinds of stuff. I mean, I get inspired by dating shows, like um I kind of am really into paving my own way and discovering and getting interested in my own style. I think if for me personally, and I know that other people get really inspired, but if I look too much to specific people instead of just the general world. I think the world at large is deeply inspiring. And I feel like if I were to hone in too heavily on, oh, I like, Wes Anderson is my favorite. I'm going to be the new Wes Anderson. It's like, no, I'm going to be Elizabeth Donaldson.
Yeah.
So I'm deeply interested in what that looks like for me. And I'm always just sort of digging in to that. Um, and then digging into creativity in general.
I really love that viewpoint actually, and that's cool. It's like like you said, you have an interest in everything, but then anything that comes out of you is inherently and totally you.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
That's so great. I love
Thank
that. Yeah. And do you have any pre-gig rituals? Like when you have any kind of a job, a gig, an acting gig?
Um, I mean, with acting, it's kind of specific. It's like when you're acting, you're going to be on camera, so there's like beauty shit that you do a lot of times. I just do everything I can to make sure that I'm mentally and physically prepared. It's not realistic that you're always going to get good sleep before a gig because sometimes you're driving far or there's all these things. But I don't consume any drugs in my life at all. But
Right on.
before a gig, I make sure to eat nutritious food. I don't have sugar. I don't have alcohol. Make sure that I'm hydrated and basically do like take my vitamins and all that stuff. Make sure there's that I do everything that I can do to make sure that I'm as physically and mentally sharp as I can be. And then I guess another thing that I do is I always orient myself to the space. Because sometimes, I don't know, you never know. Sometimes you're going to have a gig where things are weird, life happens. I don't usually answer the phone. I kind of go into a black hole, because I don't want to be disrupted. I don't handle certain conversations. I want to make sure that I'm mentally focused. But life is going to happen and you never know, you know, you might have a tragedy happen and you have to go act on set that day and it's just what you have to do. So or you might be completely exhausted, or there's this really great quote, and I wish that I could find it. I've looked for it. I saw it once and then I never saw it again. And then when I went looking for it, I couldn't find it. But it's by one of the Duplass brothers. And he's talking about how acting class should teach you how to like do a scene in the middle of the night after you've shame eaten spaghetti and have a stomach ache from eating too much food. Sometimes you're going to be on a set where like the food is a little weird, so you can have your rituals that are going to be great, but you also have to, I think it's important to leave space for the fact that life happens. And that if you're really on your game, you're going to be able to be on your game, even if everything wasn't perfect. So for me, what really helps me do that is to just arrive in the space and really scope it out. I tell everybody when I enter a set, I go, hey, I'm going to go take a lap. and I go and I walk around and I look at everything and I like look at the space. And it's not always appropriate to introduce yourself to people because I mean, sometimes on a TV show, if you come in and you have, you know, like a few lines, like you're gonna leave everybody alone. You're gonna like go get your makeup done. You know, it's kind of like the manners thing to do is you're just gonna hang out in your trailer. But even like the last show, I did an episode of Young Rock, and even that, like I walked around the environment. I like when I arrived and ate, I looked at everyone and I looked at the things and I looked at the set and I introduced myself, you know, when the time was right to the makeup people. And instead of being inside of my trailer, there was a good chunk of time where I sat on the steps of my trailer outside with the door open so that I could really observe and engage with the environment. And then there was a point in time where I wanted to focus in a little more. So then I kind of like retreated into my trailer. But I like to do everything I can, I guess, to make sure that I'm very grounded and very present and very like mentally arrived in the space and
Amazing.
the people in it. Yeah.
Totally, and I can really relate. I've definitely had times where I like had a gig and like I got in an argument before it or something stupid, right? And then it's like
Yeah.
it just throws you off, man. And you have to work hard to get back in the game mentally, you know?
Totally. Yeah. So I think it's like for any artist, I mean, even like on a photo shoot, I try to make sure that it's interesting because when I'm in a situation, like when you're doing photography or even directing, you can weirdly like not eat. Like you can be a little more like exhausted. I've done so many directing jobs where I like haven't slept. You know, you're doing so much prep where like you haven't slept the night before and you ate a cracker, but it's kind
Mhm,
of a different, you're in this different part of your brain and you don't really have to use speech.
mhm.
So it tends to work okay. But yeah, I try to do everything I can to minimize any interpersonal drama. I mean, I don't have any interpersonal drama in my life really anyways, because I like got rid of drama long ago.
Good
But
for you.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Huge, awesome. And then okay, what's the weirdest thing that's ever inspired you?
My God, probably so much weird stuff. um, I don't know if this is the weirdest, but I am very inspired by the dating show Love is Blind.
I've watched that show actually.
I am obsessed with it, but I'm not just obsessed with it in like a gossipy, like, oh my God, what's going to happen with these people way. I
Yeah.
am like obsessed with it as like a study of human behavior. Like, I love reality shows because it's like real people. So as an actor, it's a great place to study people and study different characters. Love is Blind is particularly interesting because people are having big feelings and like what they're going through is so bizarre.
Mhm.
Um but I also get inspired by like I've been inspired by like a dead cow before.
Wow.
Like,
Okay. It's weird.
I was wardrobing this post-apocalyptic movie short film and we needed bones and this friend of mine was like, oh yeah, on like my friend's property there's a cow that died and it was like a couple weeks ago, so we can go get the skull and the
Wow.
bones. So we literally went and like I have a picture of him with like the pelvis and spinal cord on his head. Like we literally went and like harvested the bones on this
Wow.
whole trek. We walked like 45 minutes and then we like walked back. But I find the whole entire world and everything in it to be, I feel like in my opinion, inspiration is a point of view. It's like a decision in a state of being. It's not a thing. So you could just like I feel like you can just take your mind and go, I like what's inspiring about this coffee cup, you know, and you could like I could literally be like, oh, this coffee cup, okay, it's type like what kind of character would drink out of this coffee cup, and what would they do, and oh, okay, like what would be an ideal room to build around this coffee cup. I could do an outfit around this coffee cup, right? Or like my key lime LaCroix, I could just like decide like, okay, like this it's effervescent, so maybe like I don't know, like if I think of photography, then I think of like um like a balloons or bubbles and like a lime green outfit. Or if I think of a character, I think of some like bitchy intern with long nails who's like, oh my God, I just like only drink key lime, like,
You
so
can, I
I,
can see her tapping her nails on the can.
yeah, exactly,
Totally.
exactly. And she's like, can I get another like key lime? Like, can you, I'm like so thirsty. Like, oh my God.
My key lime is almost flat. I need a refresher.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's like this interesting thing. I think so in that way, I think it's like if you choose to, or if you are in a state of mind where you're kind of deadening yourself, you could be in the most inspiring place in the world and be completely uninspired, or you could be in the middle of the desert. I mean, desert's pretty inspiring to be honest, but you could be in the middle of a garbage dump, or I don't know. It's like now that I've gotten myself in this inspiration state of mind, I'm like, everything's inspiring, but you could be somewhere that's boring and be very inspired if you just decide to notice and imagine. And I guess me, ever since I was a little kid, I've always had like a radically huge imagination. Like, and I can just at any time be like, oh, okay, let me imagine things. Like when I was young in LA, not young, but when I was sort of like, I guess I was like in my early 20s and I was starting out and going to a lot of commercial auditions. And this was, back when you would do in-person auditions and you would go to this room and you would wait in the casting area for like 1 to 2 hours. And you'd look around and there'd be all these girls who looked like you and nobody was really talking. And it was like, it's not like Nashville.
Yeah.
Um, and I would just make up things in my head. I would imagine that everybody, if they had elf ears, or I would imagine that there was like a gnome. This makes me sound crazy, but it's not. It's just fun. I would imagine that there was like a gnome who lived in the room, and I'd be like, where could he be? Like, he's in the trash can. Like, what if he was in the painting? And I would just imagine all these things. And that's something that I've done as long as I can remember. So
That's awesome. That's kind of the game as an actor, I guess, is like you have to take your environment and you have to do something with it and just decide what you want to do with it and mock it up.
totally, totally. Well, and especially like I don't think people realize how much, especially in the modern age, um, like you're a lot of times acting with a piece of tape. We were talking about this. I was talking about this with a friend recently. Um, you don't get to do some of your most emotional scenes, or when you're doing a close up, like you don't even have that person there. And sometimes it's awkward. I've had scenes like emotional, intense scenes where my scene partner being in a space where they were they wanted to be there and be seen, but it was like distracting
Yeah.
because like I wanted to look over here and then I would see their face, but I have to look at the piece of tape like it's their eyes. And so acting is, and a lot of times you'll do stuff, especially in modern movies, they're doing a ton of stuff now with green screens or with shooting commercials in studios where the environments are projected and you're interacting with all the stuff that like truly doesn't exist. So above and beyond acting, you have to like be invested and believe in this completely imaginary environment that you're creating, and be able to emote. You have to be able to stare at a piece of tape and feel like that piece of tape is like is like giving you things,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like give it a whole, like make it come alive.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. So how has your art influenced other people?
Oh man. I
I
mean, I
went
think
deep with these questions. I'm sorry.
no, I love them. I love these questions. I mean, sometimes you never know. I will say something that I'm proud of. Is a lot of people, like I get feedback often from people saying that what I do inspires them to like think outside of the box, or to do things, get more creative, or do things they've never done, or it makes them feel brave or empowered, which is super awesome. That's like really beautiful feedback to get. And then with comedy, and this is I mean, it's one of the reasons that I'm so obsessed with comedy. I get so many people messaging me saying like, was having a really hard day today, was the worst, and your video is the thing that got me through.
Wow.
Or yeah, I mean, it's like incredible or like people who were like, you have no idea, I watch your page all the time, it really inspires me. And that's huge, you know, because I think obviously I have a personal belief that there's therapeutic measures that exist that can bring permanent change about an individual. But I think about all the time that many people, for various reasons, are in a location and situation where they can't get the therapeutic tools that they need, right? They don't have access, or they, you know, they can't do certain things. And so I think that art, well, purposeful, well-intended art, and not necessarily art that's like happy all the time, but art that's like has an intention to bring about change and understanding, or a positive switch in a person, or to make somebody look at something a way they didn't look at it before,
Totally.
is very therapeutic for people, and can sort of get them through difficult times. What is it? A talk show host, Jimmy Kimmel,
Yeah.
was telling the story how he like hurt his leg. He had some sort of injury where he was in the hospital for several weeks. And he watched TV and was like kind of understood, like, oh my gosh, this is, you know, there's times, or I've had times like when people are sick, when they're bedridden, when they're in situations where they can't move and get around, you know, and you forget sometimes when you're an able-bodied person who can just easily do this, that, and the other thing. You can drive your car, you can do this and that. You have money to buy the things that you want, and go the places you want. You forget that there's so many people that don't have the various resources that you may have, and that something so simple that I think I sometimes take for granted is just like a funny video can mean the world to people. So yeah. I think
No, that's
that's
incredible. That's huge, and that's again very real to me. And I mean, I mean, the artists of societies are what make a society great, in my opinion, personally. And,
yeah,
and they are the spearhead of forward progress and forward change. The people, the creatives. So I think that's really smart, and there is a responsibility to it, like you said,
yeah.
of putting out art that actually has a purpose for positive change. So I really love that.
Totally. Thank you. And there's like a persistence to it. I think that that's sometimes the thing that keeps me going when I feel like quitting, you know, because it's not like I don't, I mean, at this point, I can't quit because it's just like I'm in so deep. Even when I have moments where I'm like, gosh, like maybe I should, like, could I quit? It's not even like I want to quit. I'm just get kind of tired sometimes. And I'm like, and then I'm like, honestly, Elizabeth, like, this is what you do for a living. You kind of like, this is the, for me at this point, it's the way that I'm going to have the best quality of life, make the most money, all of those things. So I'm like, no, I really can't. But also one of the things that keeps me going in time, like there's definitely times where I don't believe in myself. I definitely go, and I'd like to say, I'm happy to say that it doesn't happen often or for prolonged periods of time, but I definitely go through periods where, like, you know, I really don't believe in myself. And the thing that keeps me going, and I think it's such a beautiful thing, and it's why I'm so grateful for the time that people take to like write me a nice message or give me an acknowledgement, is that I'm like, no, like these people believe in me, and I'm going to keep going for them. Because if I stop, then it doesn't just diminish. It's not just a loss for me, but it's also a loss for these people who believe in me, you know? So I keep going.
Yeah, you follow your own rules and you preach them on to me. But you don't think before you act, and you ain't got no business with me. You don't know. Tell me what's your truth? Oh, what's your truth?